Your sister needs this more than you do, Amanda, my father said, his voice firm as he signed the papers to withdraw my entire college fund. She got into medical school. This is her dream. I stood there, watching as 15 years of my savings, birthday money, summer job earnings, academic achievement awards, disappeared with a few strokes of a pen. My name is Amanda Sullivan, and at 18, I was watching my parents destroy my future to pave the way for my younger sister Emily's. But what about my college plans? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I got accepted to Boston University with honors. My classes start in 2 months. My mother's dismissive wave felt like a slap. You can take classes at the community college, dear. Maybe work at the local store. Emily needs to become a doctor. It's all she's ever wanted. What about what I wanted? I'd worked hard for my acceptance, graduated as valedictorian, earned multiple scholarships. But in my family, Emily's dreams always took center stage. Emily has potential, my father added, pocketing the cashier's check. This is an investment in her future. You understand, don't you, sweetheart? You've always been the practical one. Practical. The word they used when they meant ordinary, not special like Emily, who declared at 12 she'd be a doctor and never wavered. Emily, who got B's but showed promise. Emily, whose dreams apparently warranted sacrificing mine. That evening, I sat in my room, staring at my Boston University acceptance letter. The partial scholarship wouldn't be enough without my savings. My carefully planned future was crumbling, and my family expected me to accept it with a smile. Hey sis, Emily bounced into my room, her face glowing. Mom and Dad told you the good news, right? I got the money for med school. Isn't it amazing? I looked at my 17-year-old sister, wondering if she even realized what this meant for me. Yeah, amazing. They gave you my college fund. Her smile faltered slightly. Well, they said you didn't really need it. Besides, medical school is really expensive, and this is my dream. You know how hard I've worked for this. Had she? I remembered all the times I'd helped her with science homework, explained complex concepts she struggled with, stayed up late helping her prepare for tests. Meanwhile, I'd worked part-time jobs, maintained perfect grades, and saved every penny. Congratulations, I said flatly. I hope it's worth it. Emily's face clouded. Don't be like that, Amanda. You're always so dramatic. It's not like you really need to go to Boston anyway. You can study, whatever it is you want to study right here. Business administration and hospital management, that's what I wanted to study. I'd researched healthcare systems, studied organizational leadership, dreamed of running a major medical facility. But in my family, unless you wanted to be a doctor, your ambitions didn't count. Later that night, I heard my parents talking in the kitchen. Amanda will understand eventually, my mother said. Emily needs this opportunity. She's special. Besides, my father added, Amanda is more suited for practical work. She's not really doctor material. Their words hit me like physical blows. I'd spent my entire life being the responsible one. The sister who helped out, who didn't make waves, who set aside her own needs for family harmony. But listening to them dismiss my dreams so casually, something inside me snapped. The next morning, I went to the bank early. My parents had emptied my college fund, but they didn't know about my personal account, the one where I'd been storing cash from my weekend job at the library. It wasn't much, barely $3,000, but it was something. Then I called Boston University's financial aid office. I need to understand all my options, I explained. My family situation has changed, but I'm determined to attend. The woman on the phone, Mrs. Martinez, listened sympathetically. Let's look at everything available. With your academic record, there might be additional scholarships we can apply for. For the next 2 hours, we explored every possibility. Work-study programs, additional loans, payment plans. It wouldn't be easy, but it was possible. I'd have to work harder than ever, take on more debt than I'd planned, but I could make it happen. When I got home, my parents were helping Emily plan her medical school schedule. They looked up, surprised to see me dressed for work on my day off. Where are you going? My mother asked. To pick up extra shifts, I replied. Someone has to pay for my education, since my savings went to Emily's. Now, Amanda, my father started, his tone patronizing, don't be difficult. We made the best decision for the family. I met his gaze steadily. No, you made the best decision for Emily. But that's okay. I'm used to looking out for myself. As I walked out the door, I heard Emily ask, "Why is she being so selfish? This is my dream." I smiled grimly. Let them think I was being selfish. Let them believe I was bitter and dramatic. They had no idea what I was capable of, what I would achieve on my own. That summer became a blur of work and preparation. I took every shift I could, applied for every scholarship I found, and planned my future down to the smallest detail. My parents watched with disapproval, probably hoping I'd give up and accept their vision of my life. The day I left for Boston, my small car packed with everything I owned, my mother tried one last time. "You're being foolish, Amanda. Taking on all that debt when you could stay here, be practical." I hugged her briefly, then stepped back. "I am being practical, Mom. I'm investing in my future just like you invested in Emily's. The difference is I'm doing it myself." As I drove away, I caught a last glimpse of them in my rearview mirror, my parents standing with Emily, their golden child, probably already forgetting about their other daughter who dared to forge her own path. Little did they know, this was just the beginning. In 15 years, they would understand exactly what they overlooked, what they dismissed. Because I wasn't just going to survive without their support, I was going to thrive. And someday, they'd all see exactly what their practical daughter could achieve. 15 years passed in a whirlwind of determination and calculated moves. While Emily followed her dream through medical school, I transformed myself into someone my family wouldn't recognize. Every semester at Boston University, I worked 3 jobs, maintained a 4.0 GPA, and networked relentlessly with hospital administrators during my internships. My family's occasional calls were predictable, Mom gushing about Emily's progress in medical school, Dad proudly announcing her residency match, neither of them asking about my own achievements. When I graduated summa cum laude and landed a prestigious hospital management position, their response was lukewarm at best. "That's nice, dear," Mom said, quickly shifting the conversation. "Did you hear Emily got nominated for an award during her residency?" I built my career methodically, moving from hospital to hospital, each position more prestigious than the last. While Emily struggled through her residency, I was becoming known as a turnaround specialist, the administrator hospitals called when they needed revolutionary change. At 33, I became the youngest hospital director in the state, taking over St. Michael's Medical Center, one of the largest teaching hospitals in the country. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd achieved my dream of running a major medical facility, despite my family's dismissal of my ambitions. Then came the morning that changed everything. My assistant, Jessica, placed a stack of job applications on my desk. "These candidates are for the new attending physician position," she said, then hesitated. "Dr. Amanda, there's something you should see." I picked up the top application, and there it was, Emily Sullivan, MD, applying for a position at my hospital. My sister's familiar smile beamed from her professional headshot, her credentials listed proudly below. Looking closer, I noticed something odd. Gaps in her employment history, short stints at various hospitals, no letters of recommendation from recent supervisors. "Should I move this to the rejection pile?" Jessica asked, knowing some of my family history. "No," I replied, studying the application more carefully. "Schedule her for an interview, but don't tell her who the hospital director is." Later that day, I made some calls to my network. The picture that emerged was interesting. Emily had completed her residency, but her career hadn't taken the brilliant trajectory my parents had envisioned. She'd moved between several hospitals, never staying more than a year, her performance evaluations mediocre at best. Entitled Attitude, one of my colleagues reported, "Expect special treatment because she's a doctor. Doesn't work well with nurses or support staff." Another was more direct. "She's coasting on charm, but her medical skills are barely adequate. We didn't renew her contract." I sat back in my office, looking out over the hospital campus I now managed. The same drive that had pushed me to succeed despite my family's lack of support had made me an exceptional administrator. I knew every aspect of hospital operations, had earned the respect of both medical and support staff, and had turned St. Michael's into a nationally ranked institution. The day of Emily's interview arrived. I watched through my office window as she walked into the hospital, dressed impeccably, carrying herself with the same confidence she'd always had. She didn't know it yet, but that confidence was about to be tested. I had arranged for her to interview with our chief of medicine first, then our head of HR. Finally, she would meet with me. The hospital director, she'd been told, would make the final decision. 2 hours later, Jessica showed her into my office. The moment Emily saw me, her professional smile froze. "Amanda," she stammered. "What are you doing here?" "Hello, Emily," I said calmly, gesturing for her to sit. "I'm the hospital director. Have been for the past 2 years." She sank into the chair, her composure slipping. I had no idea. Mom and Dad never mentioned. "They don't know," I replied. "They've never asked about my career. Too busy following your medical journey, I suppose." Emily shifted uncomfortably. "Look, Amanda, about what happened with your college fund." I held up my hand. "This isn't about that. This is a professional interview for a position at my hospital. Your previous supervisors have some interesting things to say about your performance." Her face flushed. "Those situations were complicated. You don't understand the pressure." "I understand pressure perfectly," I interrupted. "I worked 3 jobs to put myself through college after our parents gave you my savings. I built my career from nothing, earned every promotion, and now I run this hospital. So tell me, Emily, why should I hire you?" She stared at me, and for the first time, I saw something new in her eyes. Respect tinged with fear. "Because I'm your sister," she finally said, falling back on the family card that had always worked before. I picked up her file, reviewing it slowly. "No, that's not how this works. Not here. At St. Michael's, we hire based on merit, not family connections. Your recent performance reviews suggest you expect special treatment, struggle with teamwork, and show little initiative for improvement." "That's not fair," she protested. "I'm a good doctor." "You're an adequate doctor," I corrected her. "But this hospital strives for excellence. We expect our physicians to collaborate, to respect every team member, to continuously improve. Your record shows none of that." Tears welled in her eyes, the same tears that had always won our parents' sympathy. "What are you going to tell Mom and Dad?" I closed her file deliberately. "The truth. That you applied for a position, but your qualifications and references didn't meet our standards. Unless you prefer to withdraw your application." Emily stood up, anger replacing tears. "You're doing this for revenge, aren't you? Because of the college fund?" I remained seated, my voice calm. "No, Emily, I'm doing my job. Running this hospital means ensuring our patients receive the best possible care. That requires physicians who are not just technically competent, but also committed to excellence and teamwork. Your record shows you're not that physician. At least not yet." She grabbed her bag, heading for the door, then paused. "You know what? I always thought you were just the practical one, the boring sister. I never imagined you'd end up." She gestured at my office, my position, my success. "That's the problem," I replied. "Neither did our parents. Neither did you. You all thought that giving you my college fund meant sacrificing my future for yours. Instead, it taught me to fight for what I wanted, to succeed on my own terms. Maybe it's time you learned to do the same." The fallout from Emily's interview was nuclear. Within hours, my phone exploded with messages from my parents. How dare I humiliate my sister? How could I be so vindictive? Didn't I understand that family comes first? I let their calls go to voicemail, focusing instead on my actual responsibilities. St. Michael's was in the middle of launching a new trauma center, and I had real work to do. But 3 days later, my parents showed up at my office unannounced. "Amanda Sullivan," my assistant's voice crackled over the intercom. "Your parents are here. They're quite insistent." I sighed, straightening my desk. "Send them in." They burst into my office, my mother's face flushed with anger, my father looking stern and disapproving. Expressions I'd grown up with, but no longer had any power over me. "How could you do this to your sister?" Mom demanded, while Dad stood with his arms crossed, surveying my office with a mix of surprise and confusion. I remained seated, calm. "I didn't do anything to Emily. She applied for a position she wasn't qualified for, and she was rejected. That's how job applications work." "This is your hospital," Dad finally spoke. "You could have given her a chance. After all she's been through." "All she's been through?" I repeated, standing now. "You mean all the advantages she's been given? The college fund that was mine? The endless support, the constant praise, the blind eye to her mediocre performance?" "Now wait just a minute," Dad started, but I wasn't finished. "No, you wait. For 15 years, I've worked to build this career. I've earned every promotion, every achievement, while you were so focused on Emily's medical career that you never even asked about mine. Did you know I was named one of the top healthcare administrators under 40? That St. Michael's has risen to the top 10 hospitals in the country under my leadership. They exchanged glances, clearly having no idea about any of this. But Emily needs this job, Mom pleaded. She's had such a hard time. Yes, I said, pulling out Emily's file. Let's talk about that. Would you like to know why she's had a hard time? Why she's changed hospitals so often? I started reading from her performance reviews. Difficulty working with staff. Expects preferential treatment. Basic medical competency but lacks initiative for improvement. My parents sank into the chairs across from my desk, their righteous anger deflating as reality set in. I don't understand, Mom said quietly. She was always so promising. She was always praised, I corrected. There's a difference. You gave her my college fund because she was special, because being a doctor was her dream. But you never asked if she was ready for the work, the responsibility, the dedication it would take. Dad leaned forward. We thought we were doing the right thing. For Emily, I finished. You thought you were doing the right thing for Emily, and now you're here, expecting me to do the same, to put Emily's needs above my professional responsibilities, above my hospital standards, above the patients who deserve the best care we can provide. But you've done so well for yourself, Mom protested. Surely you can help your sister. I pulled out another file, my own records from college. Would you like to see how well I did? 3 jobs while carrying a full course load. Student loans I just finished paying off. Nights spent studying in the library because I couldn't afford campus housing. I succeeded not because of you, but in spite of you. They sat in silence, perhaps for the first time really seeing me, not as their practical daughter who would understand, but as the successful professional I'd become. What can we do? Dad finally asked, his voice smaller than I'd ever heard it. For me? Nothing. I stopped needing your help a long time ago. For Emily? I pulled out a business card. This is the contact information for our physician improvement program. If Emily is serious about becoming a better doctor, about earning a position here, or at any top hospital, she needs to acknowledge her weaknesses and work to improve them. You give her that chance? Mom asked hopefully. I'm giving her an opportunity to earn her chance, I corrected. The same way I earned everything I have. It's up to her whether she takes it. After they left, I stood by my office window, watching them cross the hospital parking lot. They looked smaller somehow, their certainty in their own rightness finally shaken. 2 weeks later, I received an email from Emily. No excuses, no family guilt trips. Just a simple message. I've enrolled in the improvement program. I want to earn my place the way you did. I smiled, typing back a brief response. Good. That's the first step. Over the next year, Emily threw herself into the program. Her progress reports show real improvement, not just in medical skills but in teamwork, in handling criticism, in understanding that being a good doctor meant more than just having the title. During this time, my parents started making different kinds of calls. They asked about my work, showed interest in my achievements, even attended a healthcare leadership conference where I was a keynote speaker. They weren't perfect, old habits die hard. But they were trying. 18 months after that initial interview, Emily applied for a position at St. Michael's again. This time, her application came with strong recommendations from her program mentors, detailed improvement metrics, and a letter addressing her past issues and what she'd learned. When she came to my office for the final interview, she was different. The entitlement was gone, replaced by something better, earned confidence. I understand now, she said, what you tried to tell me that first time. About earning your place, about real excellence. Thank you for not giving me the easy way out. I studied her for a moment. You know, if you get this position, it will be harder for you here than anywhere else. Everyone will know you're my sister, and they'll watch to make sure you're not getting special treatment. She nodded. Good. I want to prove myself, really prove myself the way you did. Emily got the job, not because she was my sister, but because she had finally become the doctor she should have been all along. The morning she started, I watched from my office as she walked into the hospital, her white coat crisp, her steps purposeful. This time, she wasn't walking in my shadow or riding on family connections. She was walking her own path, one she earned step by step. That evening, I found a note on my desk. Thank you for being the sister I needed, not the one I wanted. Emily. I pinned it to my bulletin board right next to my first hospital director appointment letter. Sometimes the best success stories aren't about getting what you want handed to you. They're about learning to become someone who deserves it.